Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
For 15 years now, we have lived here. Before that, I was a pet of my master Yoshi. When we were forced to come to New York, I found myself for the first time without a home, wandering through sewers, scavenging for whatever I could find. And then, one day, I came upon a shattered glass jar and 4 baby turtles. Good evening and welcome to another episode of Three Guys in a Flick. This is where we review the good, the bad, and the absurd. Tonight's episode, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Beware, spoilers. Coming to you from my basement, as always, my name is Don, and to my right we have our comic book guy, John.
How you doing?
And to my left we have the professor, Ken.
Cowabunga!
There it is. That's what I was waiting for. Where were you at on that?
I was going to throw out a radical.
Why didn't you?
But you didn't ask me how I was doing. You just said, here's John.
Well, that's a good point. I didn't think that one through all the way.
Now, I want to point out, we are not doing the Michael Bay version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We are doing the original 1990 version.
As far as I'm concerned, it's the only one.
Okay.
So I guess it was implied, and it was implied that it was the 1990 version. So if there was any confusion out there, I'm sorry if you tuned in for the Michael Bay version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. A, you should be slapped, and B, fuck off.
Okay. Shame on you.
That's right. That's right. No, we are in fact talking about the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, submitted by request to us from our True Believer listener, Zach. And I was talking to him earlier, and I said, why TMNT, right? 90. And he said it was one of his favorite films growing up, and there's a lot of nostalgia there. And he thought it would be funny to hear us talk about it. So there you go.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah.
As soon as you were commenting about, you're expecting the Michael Bay version, and what was the first comment you said?
Dude, that was so long ago, I don't remember.
Well, I suddenly flashed to that moment in the movie when April is confronted by the foot ninja, and he holds his hand out, and then he opens up his hand, and she's staring at his hand, and then he slaps her cheek.
Yeah.
So that's what you get if you're expecting Michael Bay.
Yeah, that's right. Did you guys ever see the 2007 animated version?
I did not. Is that the one that was computerized?
Yeah. That one was after this franchise, but before Michael Bay's Abomination.
I was actually scrolling through, I watched this movie on Tuesday night, and then last night I was scrolling through a bunch of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, trying to figure out, thinking, I'm going to watch another one. And I ran across that one, thought about watching it, but then I watched the Michael Bay version.
Did you really?
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I watched the actual sequel, the second one of Michael Bay, because I wanted to see Seamus in it, and Bebop and Rocksteady. I wanted to see how they did with that one, because I couldn't remember if I'd ever watched it.
Oh yeah. So you watched the Michael Bay version, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm hold still. Okay.
And you know what? That would have been more enjoyable.
See what? Well, you live and you learn. I guess that's what I can say to that. You live and you learn. I have seen the first Michael Bay version, and sadly the second Michael Bay version. But to my defense, at the time, I had little kids, so I was forced to watch that shit. But what I was saying about the 2007 one was that one's actually really good. If you ever get a chance to have some time to kill, check it out. I found it really enjoyable.
I will throw this out there that I was a big fan of the animated TV series.
Well,
the original.
I assumed that you were a fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a kid because, well, I think a lot of us around that time were, and when we pulled it out of the hat last week, there was a little glimmer in your eye when you figured out what the fucking TMNT was for.
Well, that and me and comic books.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I like. Professor, had you ever seen this film?
Yeah, we had it in the house, and it was something that TJ would watch from time to time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he grew up with it.
Nice. Good movie to grow up with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really enjoyed it.
Hey, Don, when did this movie come out?
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was released on March 30th, 1990. It was directed by Steve Barron. Screenplay by Todd W. Langen, Bobby Herbeck. Story by Bobby Herbeck. Based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. It stars Judith Hoag, Elias Koteas, Jay Patterson, Michael Turney, Raymond Sierra, James Saito, and a young Sam Rockwell.
I was so surprised to find out that was Sam Rockwell.
It snapped my head. Like I went, wait a minute. Did I just see Sam Rockwell? And sure as shit, there he was. The head thug.
Mind blown.
Totally blown.
I think I was most surprised by Elias.
Why?
Just I didn't realize that, back then, who he is now on NYPD or whatever show he's on, I didn't realize he was Casey Jones back in that movie.
Well, and nowadays it's like, what hasn't he been on?
That's
but
true.
And since I saw this in the 90s, I remember seeing Casey Jones for the first time, live action, and I went right on, that's him. And so every other time I saw Elias Koteas, I always thought of Casey Jones. So that actor has been on my radar for a very long time.
And I think if you're fans of the show, fans of the movies, fans of the comic book series, he played an amazing Casey Jones. He played it spot on. Now, if you go look at the Michael Bay version, oh my God, no.
Yeah, well, as soon as you say Michael Bay, we all kind of go, oh.
Yeah.
So, why can't he make good movies?
Well, his movies are literally, if you just want to go see pyrotechnics and explosions and loud music and loud noises, that's his whole movie.
All right, let me ask you this real quick, and then we'll go back to the Turtles for good. Is there a Michael Bay film that you actually enjoy? I actually have like 3 or 4, guiltily. Is that a word?
You might have to edit this. Did he do Armageddon?
Yes.
That is the one. My pick.
That's definitely on my list.
The only Michael Bay movie I can think of that I really enjoy is Armageddon. Is the top of my list. Now maybe the first Transformers, but Armageddon's my number one.
You?
I do not mind Michael Bay, what he did with the movie 13 Hours.
Yeah, there you go. That's actually a good movie, right? Mine would be Armageddon for sure. Fuck, any of the Bad Boys. I'll take the Bad Boys any day of the week. And then, probably 13 Hours. But everything else is just big explosions.
And camera swirls.
And camera swirls, right. I wasn't a big fan of The Rock.
Me neither.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Oh, I thought that was a great movie.
Then you love Michael Bay. You are a Michael Bay lover.
I didn't even
See,
realize.
we went the roundabout to make him admit what he really is.
I guess I didn't realize that one was Michael Bay. But you didn't like Sean Connery in The Rock?
Not really.
Oh my gosh.
And
Winners Go Home.
And I love
or was it Losers Go Home, Winners Go Home and Fuck the Prom Queen?
Yeah. Well, there you go.
There's some great lines in that movie.
Back to TMNT.
Which was made for $13.5 million and grossed $202 million at the box office.
Can you
Not
repeat
too
that?
bad.
That is crazy. 202 million?
202 million, yeah.
That blows me away. Looking at that movie, now maybe I'm comparing it to some movies today, but looking at that movie, the way it was done, it just blows me away that it made 202 million.
I wonder if it's because children were sent back to the theater again and again, and parents taking them again and again.
That makes. I do remember when they were hyping this movie. Didn't they keep like the turtle designs hidden, like in all the all the promo stuff? You only saw them like their heads halfway coming out of a swamp, or
their weapons,
or out of the the sewer or whatever.
Very reminiscent to how the film opens.
Yeah.
They kept him in the shadows. Yeah, for sure. I totally remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember when you saw him for the first time, you went, oh, that's not half bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first time you saw him fight, you went, oh, fuck yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's
here's
the crazy thing. Originally, they were going to do a kind of a Roger Rabbit thing to this. They were going to do animated versions of them with live people. And I'm
Interesting.
glad they scrapped that idea and went with Jim Henson's studio to make the puppetry with the masks and the costumes and the outfits. And I think it took 2 or 3 people to work the Splinter puppet and things like that. And
Yeah.
I thought they did a great job with it.
Kind of borderline of the CGI revolution, but yet still practical was very much a thing in Hollywood and how to make movies. And yeah, the Jim Henson work on it, fucking brilliant.
I guess the turtle heads were a nightmare to wear. Did you hear about some of the problems they had with that?
No.
Well, first of all, the mechanics and everything to make the lips move and the mouths and the eyes and all was so packed in there. People said it sounded like you walked into a factory without any kind of earplugs or anything. It was so loud that it was almost deafening. And then it was so packed in, like there's a scene where Raphael gets thrown into a trash can by Casey Jones.
Yeah.
The guy who played Raphael at that time broke his nose because it was so packed in there. And when he hit the trash can, it just smashed his face in.
Ugh. Yeah.
I guess you can see
Things you do for art.
if you go back and watch that scene. Apparently, I didn't catch it, but when he gets right out of the trash can, the first thing you see is the stunt guy grabbing his face, in the Raphael costume because his nose is broken.
Yeah. Good stuff. Do you remember seeing the turtle? What was your thought when you saw the turtles for the first time and how they moved, this, that, and the other?
The animatronics of the turtles still intrigues me, and I am weirdly drawn to it, that I feel compelled to want to watch the movements that the faces do and the limberness that the turtles exude in those costumes, that I am strangely drawn to it. However, to the counterpoint, it was so squeaky clean feeling in the movie. The fact that everybody just seemed to be, they didn't necessarily look scruffy. The hangout for all the kids, that they had, nothing was trashed in there. Everything looked nice and shiny and new.
Yeah.
And there was no alcohol anywhere. We didn't hear anybody swearing. I'm thinking, you got a bunch of kids here. How is it that everybody seems to be getting along and there's no debauchery happening whatsoever?
I'll tell you why, because they were all drinking beer and smoking cigarettes.
Well, I think it's also things were a lot cleaner in the 90s.
But I hear what you're saying, right? You would expect a couple of fucks this, fuck that, right? But I mean, it was directed at a kid audience, very family friendly.
Yeah,
and
totally.
It reminded me of a set that could have been in Batman and Robin, the George Clooney epic. So I'm curious if the makers of that film took inspiration from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Did you find that the turtle costumes worked so well that you kind of found yourself not really seeing them as puppets or seeing them as mechanical, but just kind of going with the realism of it?
Absolutely, from the get-go.
I mean, I stopped thinking of them as guys in costumes and just thought of them as turtles.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know where it is for me? It is in the opening when April gets attacked for the first time, right? And we barely see Raphael's thing. When you see them, because that's really the first glimpse you get of the turtles in the film, I buy it as soon as I see it. The detail, and it's just a small section of his face, but it looks so real. I don't think of a guy in a suit. I think of a fucking turtle. So I think they did a brilliant job.
The only time I think
it still kind of holds up
that I didn't feel that way was there's a few scenes where the turtles are looking up and you can kind of see the seam on their neck.
Yeah,
and
I noticed that too.
The seam on their neck and a little bit under the chin. That's the only time I think I had any issues with the costume.
Yeah, I noticed those too. Before we jump into this plot, John, why don't you tell us a little about the Turtles?
Absolutely. As you know, I love comic books, and I actually did collect the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic books for a while. It was originally published by Mirage Studios between 1984 and 2014. It was conceived by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, which is funny. I don't know if you caught at the end when the guy tells him where the warehouse is. He says it's on the street between Eastman and Laird.
Oh no, I missed that completely.
So he said
cool.
that at the end. It initially was a one-shot, but it was super popular and became an ongoing series, and eventually was bought out. They sold the rights to Viacom, which owns Nickelodeon, so that's why we're seeing a lot of new stuff coming out from Nickelodeon. There's actually a new series out. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. Have you heard about this one?
No.
It's actually pretty interesting. I don't think they have finished it yet, but 3 of the turtles are dead. So is Splinter and Casey Jones.
Oh,
And there's
spoiler alert, bud.
well, it starts off first page. There's only 1 turtle left, and you don't know who that turtle is until a few issues in.
Oh, I know who it is.
So it's an interesting. It takes place in the future and talks about why they all died and how they all died. It's a good read so far.
Oh, right on. Right
Now I do have a little bit of trivia for you.
Wait, real quick. Do you know who the turtle is who's alive?
Oh yeah, but I'm not spoiling that for you.
It's Donatello. I already know that. Go ahead.
No, it's not.
What?
No,
Well,
sorry.
I don't want to
You got-
fucking read it
You
then.
got 3 left.
I know. Fuck that. Fuck turtles.
Yeah.
You don't get rid of Donatello.
Donatello's dead.
Oh, fuck off. Fuck that guy.
And April has lost an arm and a leg.
Well, see, now I don't even have to read it. You can just tell me all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, trivia question for you guys. Which Marvel hero do we owe thanks to for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Daredevil.
Wow, he jumps out with it real quick. Did you know that, Don?
I was going to have you repeat the fucking question. Look at you, Professor. Good job.
Now, do you know why?
Because they're,
Daredevil.
they're in New York?
No, if you read the first comic book and read their origin, there is basically a scene where a guy goes and knocks a blind person out of the way, out of getting hit from a truck, and gets hit in the face with radioactive canister. That is Daredevil's origin. That canister then falls into the sewer and creates the turtles.
I love that.
So the whole point is that the 2 creators were inspired by Frank Miller's version of Daredevil and I think he did a comic book called Ronin, and they wanted to do something that kind of complemented Daredevil, had the same theme as Daredevil, so they created the turtles.
That's fucking awesome.
So yeah, and Daredevil never appears in their comic books, but they did do a crossover with Daredevil down the road.
Nice. Do you know how much that said comic book is worth now these days?
I have no idea.
$79,000.
Jeez, I believe it. And
Golly.
And the
Number
crazy
1.
thing is the original series, that stuff was all black and white.
Yeah.
So you didn't have the color mass and all of that. That didn't come till later.
Yeah.
Did you read about how the New Mutants were also partially inspired?
No, I did not. Why don't you fill me in?
So the New Mutants are a team of teenage mutants, and there's also other inspiration that Eastman and Laird had. They had the Cerebus the Aardvark.
I actually collected that one as well. And Boris the Bear.
Yeah, so you have an anthropomorphic Aardvark whose sword and sorcery style leads him on many adventures.
Oh.
And then we also have Frank Miller's Ronin, as you mentioned as well. And so this is a long dead Japanese Ronin who was reincarnated in a dystopian New York City. And so they combined all of these elements that John mentioned as well as what I just mentioned. They threw all that together, and that's where the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles hail from.
A couple other things I wanted to point out. And if you think about it, in Daredevil, who trained Daredevil?
Stick.
Stick. Who trained the Turtles?
Splinter.
Splinter. Stick and Splinter. Who does the Daredevil fight? Who is the enemy of Daredevil?
Shredder.
Well, no, of Daredevil, it's the hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Of the Turtles, it's the foot.
Oh, that's funny.
So you can see there's a lot of connections.
Yeah. But see, if you would have said who fought Daredevil, I immediately, being me, would have went to the Kingpin.
That's what I thought too.
That's what I thought
And
too.
I was trying to find the connections
But the
between
hand is in there. I know that.
the
yeah.
Kingpin and Shredder, and I tried to look up where they got the idea of Shredder from, and Shredder is not connected to anything. They actually got inspiration from him from a cheese grater.
Cool.
They basically thought, what if a villain wore a cheese grater?
Yeah. So this film was really one of the first modern day superhero live action movies. If you think about it, came out in 1990. You had Batman, Michael Keaton's Batman in 89, the year before. Really the only other superhero movie that came out in 90 was Darkman. I mean, there might have been more obscure ones that we don't know about, but according to the top 50, so it came out in a time where superhero movies aren't what they are today.
Absolutely.
And going back and watching it last night, I can see like a spark of where superhero movies came from, or today's style, I guess. As technology got better, the movies get better, right? But this one seemed so, I guess, real. I suspended my belief and I went along for the ride. And, for a movie that came out in 1990 and being one of the first of its kind, I think it held up just fine.
Yeah.
So.
And it catered to, young people as well as adults. I thought it kind of hit both those.
Oh, absolutely.
Both those targets.
Agreed, 100%.
Now, something you mentioned earlier about well-known people, actors in this, the fact that Corey Feldman did one of the voices.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He was Donatello.
Yeah, and he got screwed.
How so?
How so? He basically, the director or the producers of the movie approached him to hire him for this movie and told him they were making a small independent film. And so they offered him, how much money did they offer him?
It was like $1,500?
$1,500 to make this small independent film that they thought might just go to VHS and make a small amount of money back. And it ended up making the $202 million. So he got paid $1,500
yeah, so he
to do the voice work.
Yeah, he obviously didn't get any back-end deals.
No.
No merchandising, no nothing, no points.
And as far as I know, he did not return for any other movies.
I don't know if,
There was only 2 of the voice actors, I think, that returned, and I can't remember which 2.
Oh, I think Raphael was one of them.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there.
I think it was Leonardo and maybe Raphael.
Right on. As a crime wave rises in New York, reporter April O'Neil correctly theorizes that the mysterious Ninja Foot Clan is behind the rising chaos. The Shredder, the Foot leader, orders April silenced. She is attacked by the Foot in a subway and knocked unconscious. Raphael, one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, emerges from the shadows, defeats the Foot, and carries her to the Turtles' hideout, unaware that one of the Foot is following him. Splinter, their rat master, explains to April that he and the Turtles were once ordinary animals, but were mutated into intelligent creatures by toxic waste, and trained by Splinter in the art of ninjutsu. After the Turtles escort April home, they find their hideout ransacked and Splinter kidnapped. They return to April's apartment and spend the night there. Danny Pennington, the delinquent son of April's supervisor Charles Pennington, works for the Foot. After bailing Danny out of jail for robbery and truancy, Charles stops at April's apartment where Danny glimpses one of the Turtles hiding. He reports this to the Shredder.
Now, you talked a little bit earlier about the opening. Starts out in the dark. You just see the hand, I think, throw the sigh at the light. I thought that was really well done. I thought it was a good opening.
I did too. I appreciated the fact that they kept the Turtles in darkness and they waited to the last minute to show us, and they did everything that's what did I used to call it when we taught film? Implied violence, right? Because all you do is you hear, right? But you know that the thugs are getting their ass kicked. So yeah, I really appreciated the style, the way it opened.
It's funny that you bring up the implied violence. Did you feel that this movie was violent at all?
By today's standards?
Yeah.
No. Even back then, I don't think it was all that violent.
Yeah, because I guess Jim Henson said that he was glad that they made the costumes, the mechanics, and all that, but they really didn't like all the violence in the movie. And then, what's her name? The woman who played April, she complained constantly, so much so that they didn't bring her back for the second movie because she complained so much about the violence.
Oh, well.
See, I thought it was anything but violent.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of cartoony violence. It wasn't that extreme.
There's no blood. You have the Turtles, using their weapons, and there's no blood showed. There's no blood shed at all. And Splinter, supposedly he's got a serious ass whooping. He doesn't look like he has any blood on him at all.
Yeah. The only scene that I could think of that could be slightly offensive to some is when that Master Toshi or whatever his name was, where he beats up the kid.
That's my favorite scene.
Yeah, he beats up the kid in the...
That's how you deal with youth,
in the
people.
Like book version of this or whatever, he kills the kid.
Oh.
He beats him to death. But other than that...
Don't be fucking around.
Other than that, I didn't think that it was that over the top. Now, one of the things that you brought up earlier, Professor, was the clean look of everything, especially the warehouse where the
The youths.
where the youths are all doing their bad things and bringing their stolen goods. I kind of got an impression, and I did read something on it, that they were going for kind of a Peter Pan vibe. I don't know if you got that.
I got that.
There was a scene in Peter Pan where I think it was the Land of Toys or something like that, where the kids turned into donkeys. You remember that whole thing in Peter?
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, Pinocchio. I'm confusing. In
Yeah,
Pinocchio.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
In
There you go.
Pinocchio,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where they open up in the scene in Turtles where the kid is smoking the cigar and shooting pool.
Yeah.
That's a direct image taken from Pinocchio.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember being in 8th grade, I think, when this came out, thinking, wow, that'd be a pretty cool place to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to the
They had some
filmmakers.
cool arcade games.
I know. They had everything they wanted. And then Shredder's speech. And what was interesting about this film is it starts off with the bad guys. It opens on the Foot and Shredder. And again, keeping the turtles back and in the shadows until the very last second. Because once you see them, it's like seeing the shark in Jaws. Once you see them, the jig is up. You got to do something else to entertain us. And luckily for us, when they start to fight and we can see them fight, those fights were badass. Right? I mean, and those are real guys doing it. That's practical shit. They are running around in those suits doing those moves. So pretty fucking impressive.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that we got to see 2 or 3 of the turtles at a time in a shot, each handling fights.
Yeah. Yeah. So the camera was back far enough to keep everyone in frame and keep the action moving. So yeah, for sure.
Did you have a favorite turtle?
My favorite turtle is Donatello.
Donatello? Ken, you got one?
No, I don't think I do.
I don't know. I'm impartial to the wisecracking Michelangelo. The interesting thing about their names is obviously they named them after the Renaissance artists, painters, things like that. But they apparently, when they were naming them, misspelled Michelangelo. It's not spelled correctly. So when they were called out on that, basically the creators blamed it on Splinter's poor spelling.
So yeah, April is investigating the Foot, and she's calling out the police chief saying that you're not doing anything about it. April believes that there's this ninja ring of thievery going on. No one will listen. The cops don't listen to her. And so she is asking questions in the wrong places, and she gets, she comes out of the station and her van is getting ransacked. And so the attackers go up to, rob her or beat her or do whatever. The turtles come save the day. And now she wakes up and we meet the boss. And of course, conveniently, the boss's kid is one of these ninja thievery people that we've been introduced to. So we have a little subplot going there.
One of the bad kids aspiring to be a member of the Foot Clan.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
that police chief, he looked very familiar. Is he the police chief from Police Academy, or does he just look a lot like him?
He just looks a lot like him.
Okay.
After an argument with Leonardo, Raphael goes to the roof of April's apartment building, where the Foot ambush him. He is knocked unconscious, and the turtles scramble to defend themselves, assisted by the vigilante Casey Jones, who had recently met Raphael. The building catches fire during the fight, and the turtles retreat to an abandoned farm belonging to April's family. Raphael recovers, and the turtles train while April and Casey fall in love. Leo contacts Splinter through astral projection, and the turtles return to New York to rescue him. So we have the fight at April's apartment, and they tear that place up pretty good.
Well,
And
her apartment's over an antique shop, so they even go through the antique area.
yeah, and she's the owner of that because her dad didn't want to throw anything away or something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, crazy. But then Casey Jones sees Raphael on the roof, and they had met earlier in the park. And I thought that was a cute exchange. And I always thought it was funny when he said, Ralph's got to go blow off steam, so he's going to go see a movie. So he puts on what I call the Clark Kent disguise. Overcoat and a hat.
Mm-hmm.
How does anybody not tell he's a fucking turtle?
That's what I thought too. I thought it was funny that, he has the green face, but I think it was Casey Jones says, "What are you, one of those punks who just paints your face green?"
Or wears a mask. He even says that because I'm thinking, oh, that's kind of cool. But like when he's at the movie theater or something.
Well,
Right?
originally, I guess in the original script, he was supposed to go see the Batman movie.
Oh, that would have been funny.
And he was supposed to come out of the movie when he walks out saying, "Cool car, stupid costume."
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out, because I noticed when he goes and see the movie that Critters is playing, and I was trying to figure out if there's a connection to the movie between Critters and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Couldn't find one, so I'm just guessing they're making fun of Critters, like that they're critters. I don't know.
Or they were just time stamping their movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Did you ever see Critters?
Yeah, long time ago. I couldn't tell you. I mean, Critters, Gremlins, they all kind of run together.
Yeah.
So
I only saw it once.
Okay.
I want to know, what do the turtles do to get their money?
it's an interesting question, Professor. How do they get their money? Because they order a pizza, and this is where
Yep.
the obsession for the pizza comes in.
Yep.
Right.
Well,
I love real quick. I love that they call him on the talk about dating the film, the 30-minute rule by Domino's. Remember that? Remember that
Yep.
when that was a thing? Yeah. Go. I'm sorry.
I figured that they get a lot of their stuff from either things that fall through the sewer grates. So like when people drop change, things like that, things that people throw away. So they get a lot of gadgets that way. One interesting point is Domino's was in the movie pretty heavily.
Right.
They didn't sponsor this movie.
Yeah.
Pizza Hut sponsored the movie. So I don't know why Domino's, like all of the promotional stuff outside the movie was all Pizza Hut.
Maybe that 30-minute thing was patented
I
and
don't
they
know.
could have only used it, I guess. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me, but
I don't know.
Yeah, Pizza Hut spent like something like $20 million doing publicity for the movie.
wow.
I'd be pissed.
Yeah. But he gives them a $10 bill. Who loses a $10 bill?
I don't know.
And how do they get the money? I mean, I get the change and the gadgets and shit,
Mm-hmm.
but he had a $10 bill.
Maybe they were doing turtle porn.
Why do you always turn to the right?
I don't know.
There's always that road. I mean, I like that road, but there's a time and a place. And the turtles, I mean, come on, dude, it's beloved. So yeah, they have the fight at April's apartment. It burns up, and then Raphael gets the shit kicked out of him. I love that when they get to the farm, that they put him in the bathtub with water.
Mm-hmm.
I laughed out loud when I was watching. I don't know why I thought that was so funny, but he's a turtle. He belongs
Sure.
in a tub.
Sure.
The impression I got, I don't know if they were trying to make this impression in the movie, is that they function perfectly when there's four of them fighting. When there's one of them down, they just get their butts kicked. Like they got their butts pretty well kicked at that, antique store
Well,
fire. And Casey Jones kind of came in to save their.
Well, A, Casey really didn't do all that much if you go back and watch it. And B, they were holding their own pretty well without him.
Mm.
So, I mean, that could be a thing, and maybe it is. But I don't know. I wouldn't want to fuck with a turtle one-on-one. So, they are badass.
Yeah,
They are badass.
heroes in a half shell.
Turtle power. Splinter has been taken from by the foot. And I got to say that the first time I remember seeing him strung up on the fence, I was thinking, oh, he looks like kind of a puppet,
Mm-hmm.
right? But last night when I was watching it, and the scene where he kind of looks up and he looks all beaten up in his eyes, I went, oh, poor Splinter.
I have to agree with you, but what'd you think of the interactions between Splinter and Danny?
Hokey and corny and 90s.
Yeah, I wasn't a big
Yeah.
fan of that Danny kid.
Oh, neither was I.
I just felt like he needed a good ass kicking.
And that's all he really need. I'm sure there were kids down there who had real problems, right? And here comes this privileged kid being all mopey and emo. Oh, he needed a good ass kicking like the one Sensei Master did to the one dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very pedestrian. He was a cardboard character.
I think the first time I watched this movie, obviously I didn't know who was playing what characters. I thought that was Joey McIntyre from the New Kids on the Block.
Oh, the Danny?
Playing Danny, yeah. Doesn't he kind of look like him?
No,
Like
he
back
looks.
then?
No, he looks like somebody. I can't put my finger on it, but he does resemble somebody to me too. So
Yeah.
I think. Which one was you said? Joey?
I think it was Joey McIntyre.
Which one was Joey?
The youngest one. curly hair, kind of Justin Timberlake slightly look.
Maybe. We get to a so every 90s movie has to have a montage, right? And every martial arts movie has to have a montage. And we get our training montage with the Turtles. I thought it was good. And again, these guys are moving around in these suits and making it look real. So, yeah, a little bit. John just showed me a picture he has saved in his favorites of Joey McIntyre. And yeah, a little bit. So
He looks pretty dreamy.
So the Turtles are back as one. Raphael has recovered, and now we're sitting around a campfire. And this is where we get our Star Wars force projection moment. And Splinter comes, and not once does he tell them where they are, where he is. He just tells them that he's proud of them and he loves them. It's like a canned response. It's like he recorded it. What do you guys think of that?
I felt like he was saying goodbye. Like, I'm basically dead, and so...
Yeah, that's
you
kind
guys
of,
have a good life.
yeah, that's kind of the vibe
I'm
I got
proud of
too.
you.
I thought the same thing, that he thought that he was close to death and there was no hope for him getting out.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, fuck Danny.
I know, he's kind of a dick, right?
Yeah.
He's
Help a rat out.
Yeah. I was thinking, how come he doesn't unchain him and they can make a run for it? But yeah. Danny has secretly been taking counsel from Splinter, who tells him the story of his master Hamato Yoshi's murder by a rival ninja, Aruku Saki, over the love of a woman named Tang Shin, while Splinter was an ordinary rat. During the struggle, Splinter's cage was broken and he lunged for Saki's face, clawing and biting him. Saki threw Splinter to the floor and took one swipe with his katana, slicing Splinter's ear. When Danny learns the Shredder intends to have Splinter killed, he and Casey set him free. Splinter reveals to the other teens who have been recruited by the Foot that the Shredder has been brainwashing him to do his dirty work. Realizing this, they all resign from the Foot.
I'm thinking that these kids are pretty wishy-washy for them to be so lackadaisical about, committing to the Foot. As soon as things got a little rough, a little tough, I don't want to do this anymore.
I know. They had a pretty kick-ass place. They were having a pretty good time. And a rat goes, you guys are all being brainwashed. This is wrong and you need to have better lives. And all of a sudden they're like, yeah, you're probably right.
Well, to be fair, Casey has something to do with it. He comes in and he gives them all a speech, which was surprising coming from Casey Jones, right? He was talking about family and he says, this is your family? Or, you guys don't know what family is, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, he gets, they go get Splinter. And this is Sam Rockwell's big scene too.
Now, this is also right after we seen that kid get beat down. So that might have had a big,
Oh, sure. Yeah. And another thing, they're fucking kids. Kids don't know how to make up their minds. So they go wherever the party is. Mm-hmm. And this party was coming to a close.
Yes.
So what do you think of the whole backstory? Is it the same in the comics?
It's very similar. In the comic books, there's two different versions. There was never really a good origin of how Splinter became the giant rat. A lot of people just assumed he got the same kind of mutagen on him, although it's never referred to as mutagen. It's always referred to, I guess, as ooze. But he kind of got the same thing that kind of, mutated him. But in the comic book, he did learn his moves from watching his master. His master was actually killed by Shredder, who thought that Master Yoshi had something to do with Shredder's brother being killed. And there was kind of a love interest, things like that. In the original animated series, Master Yoshi is the one that actually mutated into Splinter.
Oh.
So it wasn't a rat mutating, up and becoming a super intelligent rat. It was the actual master becoming Splinter.
Sure. And we get this flashback, during the film. And I don't know about you guys, but every time Splinter told a flashback, the screen would go dark and we'd be taken to, wherever we're going. The rat effects in his cage, don't really hold up for me.
You're talking about the animation style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You didn't like him doing the little martial arts?
But he wasn't doing anything, right? He wasn't flipping around like Yoshi. He had 2 moves, up and down. That's all he was doing. So how did he become this big old ninja?
The thing I was wondering, basically they said that Yoshi came to America and that's how Splinter got to America. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's how I took it.
That's how I took it as
Yeah,
well.
originally I was thinking is how did he get all the way from Japan to America? But yeah.
Oh no, him and the woman
Yep.
and the rat,
Oh,
they
that's
all come
right.
together. That's right. They're
Yeah.
very Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, exactly.
And why do they have a pet rat?
Well, that's, I guess, was going to be my next question.
Why not?
The Turtles engage the Foot in battle, easily defeating every Foot Clan ninja, but upon facing the Shredder, he defeats them single-handedly. As the Shredder prepares to kill Leonardo, Splinter appears and challenges him to a fight. Splinter names Shredder as Oroku Saki. Saki removes his mask and touches his scars, remembering how Splinter gave it to him. He charges Splinter to spear him, who ensnares the Shredder's spear with Michelangelo's nunchucks, leaving him dangling over the roof's edge. In a final attempt to kill Splinter, Shredder throws a Tanto at Splinter, but when Splinter reaches to catch it, his grip is released and Saki falls into a garbage truck. Casey pulls the lever, accidentally, to activate the compactor, crushing the Shredder. As the police and media arrive and arrest the Foot soldiers, the teens tell them the location of the Foot hideout. Charles is reunited with his son Danny and gives April her job back. Reunited with Splinter, the Turtles watch as April and Casey kiss. Roll credits. You know what else I appreciated about this film? It was an hour and a half.
Agreed.
It was a pretty quick movie.
But, well, it was a quick movie, but there were some things that felt kind of long to me.
The
Namely
farm scene?
The farm scene and mainly the flashbacks. So we're bound to have our final battle. And
Was it much of a final battle, the one with Shredder?
No, not at all. But we had gotten so much with all those other action sequences. It's curious to know what they should have or could have done with it. But you're right. They kind of dispatch of Shredder pretty quick. And here's what I don't get. If he's single-handedly beating them, how come they're all not charging him at once?
That was my big issue. First of all, that we didn't get to see the 4-on-1 working together. They all charged him individually.
Yeah, they all took turns.
Although it was kind of funny, I thought, when Michelangelo and I think was Raphael were deciding who was going to go next, and they did the rock, paper, scissors.
I think it was him and Donatello.
Was it Donatello? I thought that was kind of a funny scene.
Yeah.
But I just thought they just saw their 2 brothers all go, one by one and just get beat pretty bad. That, and why didn't Shredder just spear each of them as he knocked them down? That kind of bothered me. But I felt it was kind of big. I don't like movies that have the big buildup of the big bad guy, and then it's just kind of over real quick.
Yeah, I think that if you could go back in time and redo something, you'd probably want a better fight scene between the 5 of them.
Didn't you want to
6 really?
Didn't you want to kind of see Splinter more kick his ass?
Kind of, a little bit. It would have been, I think, reminiscent of when I think of Splinter doing kung fu and moving around like that. I think of Yoda using the Force in Attack of the Clones.
Did you ever see the animated movie that I think recently came out this last year? Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No.
There is a scene in it. It's actually not a bad movie. It's based off of a comic book series, the crossover. Batman fights the Shredder, and the Shredder holds his own against Batman. So he could have put up a little bit more of a fight.
Well, maybe, but he was taking them on one at a time.
Yeah.
But when he got to Splinter, it was over pretty quick.
I think that's a common trope in a martial arts movie is the attack one at a time approach. And that certainly had a lot in this, where they would take their turns fighting one at a time as opposed to all going at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And I think also Splinter not having more of a fight, it probably just wasn't technically available at this time when the movie was made to put something like that together.
Sure.
Now, do you feel like the idea of them all going one at a time is showing that they still have a lot to learn and maybe they need to progress some more?
It could be. I think that them going one at a time, they're trying to prove something, maybe. And you said, do they are they stronger as 4? Right. So this would have been a good opportunity to put that theory to test and, have them attack him all at once. And if he can block them all at once, that makes him the more batter too. So it would have really upped the ante for the fight.
The other thing we have to think of is this is the first time they've ever met Shredder. They didn't even know who he was.
A fair point.
So they didn't know he was this guy from Japan that there was some history with and all of that. They just saw a big guy in a cheese grater costume.
Sure. And they even call him a cheese grater costume. That's a fair point.
I also was reminiscent that you mentioned on the Yoda fight style, because that's what I was thinking of as well. We would have seen more of the Yoda fight style that happens in Revenge of the Sith. The fight that Yoda goes through was extremely conscientious when that sequence was put together, because they didn't want Yoda to look ridiculous in his fight. You have this little guy that's jumping and flipping and twirling it around. You wanted him to look badass, not comical.
Right. It's too bad they failed.
Well, the other thing I got from this scene is that, did you notice that when they were charging the Shredder, he was mostly using defensive tactics and knocking them down, and he wasn't getting emotional. It wasn't until he charged Splinter in an offensive manner and emotionally that he got his butt thrown over the ledge.
Yeah, it's usually emotion that'll kick you in the ass.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Isn't that mentioned in the movie as well?
I think so. Doesn't Splinter say something like that?
That sounds familiar. I bet that is somewhere in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you think about the way that Shredder was dispatched with the garbage truck?
Casey the Killer.
I thought that went a little dark. Let's talk about the dark themes of this film real quick, right? Well, we have slapping of women, child abuse, child slavery,
Animal abuse,
animal abuse, teenage underage drinking and smoking,
stealing.
A lot of dark themes for a Ninja Turtle movie.
From her purse kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. Little bastard. I would have beat the shit out of him too. So, yeah, a pretty dark movie for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, especially in 1990, and geared toward kids.
And they dicked that pizza guy out of a tip.
He was late.
2 minutes late.
But even though he's late, they knocked the $3 from $13 down to $10.
Right.
They gave him a $10 bill. They didn't give him any tip.
Because he was late. Why does he deserve a tip for being late?
That's what I'm saying.
No.
So that's another dark thing.
Oh, no.
You don't think that's dicking someone out of a tip?
Absolutely not.
It's not, I understand the policy is you $3 off the pizza. Doesn't mean you get out of the tip.
Well, had you got there on time, I would have given you a tip, because at that point you did what you said you were going to do, and you got there on time, and you deserve a tip. If you're late, bud.
So if your pizza guy is late, you're not going to tip him?
That's why they don't put time frames on them anymore.
Well, I think it was because they were getting in a lot of accidents.
Oh, well, I'm sure that's part of it. Well, I'm sure that's most of it. But yeah. I always tip.
Yeah. So I would have given them $13 and counted the $3 as a tip.
Well, yeah, but you are nicer than I am?
Okay.
Wait, that can't be right.
Okay, so he takes the $13 and you say, there's your tip. He doesn't get the tip, but in your mind, he got the tip, even though it goes straight to Domino's?
Then he'd pocket the $3 and go back and say I was late, so they only gave me 10.
Well, yeah, I guess that was back in the day before everything was tracked digitally.
Yeah.
For sure.
Or you just paid online.
Have you ever delivered pizzas?
I have not.
Did you ever deliver pizzas?
No, sir.
Yeah, me either. I was always in the kitchen.
I was always eating the pizza.
Oh, we know, bud.
What'd you think of the love connection between Casey and April?
I didn't buy it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it seemed a little forced, and in today's day and age, I don't think the way he was approaching it would fly. So another one of those themes, right?
He was kind of a little aggressive and
a little, yeah. It certainly felt forced, but I mean,
she kind of goes for the bad boys, but maybe she likes the sports. I don't know.
Is it weird that the turtles go gaga over her too?
A little.
I think
you know what I mean.
It would only be weird if they had pulled a Howard the Duck.
Intererotic species, fucko.
Yeah,
is that what he says?
Yeah, because when Howard got together with
Leah Thompson,
that was a little weird.
There's your fourth film, Howard the Duck. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, you'll figure it out.
But I will say in Howard the Duck, they did have the greatest soundtrack, the greatest theme song.
Which was?
Howard the Duck. Quack.
Oh, you mean the actual theme song?
Yeah.
No, once again, you are wrong. But hey, to each his own.
I think a user needs to suggest Howard the Duck.
I think whoever suggests Howard the Duck, I don't even want to throw that out there. I don't want to say ban because, I mean, we'd watch it.
Because you kind of do want to watch it.
I don't want to watch it by any stretch of the no way.
It's got the Ferris Bueller principle in it. Come on.
We have a movie with Leah Thompson already in the helmet that I'm very much looking forward to, that you guys don't know what it is yet, and I'm excited.
What do you think about the writing of the characters of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, John?
I think it was very true to the comic book, to their characters. You know, Donatello's always the smart, kind of nerdy one. Leonardo's the leader who's always kind of fighting with his leadership style, trying to grow into this leadership position. Raphael's always the dick. He's always the one that's kind of, brutish and not, as intelligent as the other ones. And then you have Michelangelo, who's slapstick. He's kind of the comic relief. So I thought it was very true to the characters.
Right on.
I felt like the attitude of the Turtles was like each one of them had like 4 or 5 triple espressos. They were always super hyped up.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, they're teenagers.
Yeah. And then they all had their own individual skills and personalities. And yeah, I found that, and I'm probably just getting old and becoming more and more of an asshole, but the whole bit where they're all like, excellent, radical, what's another word for it? It went on too long for me.
I'll agree with that. But what'd you think with Splinter's final? I was always partial to Cowabunga.
Corny, but awesome.
It was a call out to the
Absolutely, yeah. I think my favorite line in this is when Michelangelo says, "I love being a turtle," because it was in the preview, and that's what takes me back to 1990, and it's a nostalgia thing for me with that line. So there you go.
I felt like the Cowabunga at the end came across very dad joke.
Oh, absolutely, good call on that. Yeah.
I've been thinking about watching the sequel to this one. I can't remember much of the sequel. Does Shredder return?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, he creates Bebop and Rocksteady.
Well, I know he does it in the Michael Bay, but does he do it in the sequel of this one too?
No, that's what I'm saying. He does it in this one too.
Okay, I'm going to have to go back and watch that.
What's your favorite scene?
I can't think of one.
Casey Jones and Raphael, when they first meet and have their fight, there's just something about when he pulls out the cricket bat.
Yeah, that's good.
I just love that.
That's a good one. I would have to say the whole April's apartment fight sequence is entertaining, well shot. Again, it's all practical. That's probably my favorite scene in the movie.
When I do think about the movie, though, I will say that I only think about the fight sequences. I don't think about stuff outside of that.
So one other point that we didn't cover earlier is when we were talking about the warehouse that they were storing all the stolen goods and the kids were. Was that familiar to you at all?
I can't put my finger on it. Where was it from?
It was another movie that we reviewed earlier.
I don't know.
The Crow.
Check that shit out.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
That was the same location that was used for The Crow, and it's an abandoned cement factory used for The Crow and Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, well, there you go. See, it's all being connected.
So to get the trifecta, someone needs to suggest...
Stop it right there.
That we
no, I didn't.
Super Mario Brothers.
Hey,
I got to draw the line somewhere, bud.
So I've read that Steve Bannon, he was fired before the production was done. Does anybody know why?
Is that the director?
Yeah, the director.
I have no idea.
Oh, here's a curious footnote about the director. He directed a ton of music videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the two I found to be most notable was Billie Jean and Take On Me.
Aha's Take On Me?
Yep.
Wow. That was a revolutionary video at the time.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Looking at my notes, I do see why he was fired. At the time, the producers thought he was making the movie too dark. So they fired him to kind of brighten it up a little bit. So a lot of people wondered just where the movie would have gone if they kept him around.
Well, see, that's the movie I want to see. Let's see how dark we can get this motherfucker, right?
Yeah, it was mentioned, I guess, the director, Steve Barron, or no, excuse me. It was according to Josh Payas. Josh Payas was on a podcast. I was there too, and he talked about the director being fired.
All right, so riddle me this: why, if that was too dark, but you thought that the spirit of the Turtles was accurately represented from the comics? Do you think that the movie's overall tone, John, was in the spirit of the comics?
I don't know if it was as much in the spirit of the tone of the comic books. I think the comic books were a little bit darker, a little more serious. They had some kind of humor in it. I mean, you got 4 turtles fighting, foot ninjas, but it was a little more dark and serious. This movie was more of a compliment to the animated series. That was more comedic.
Right, but I think Steve Bannon's probably, or was it Steve?
Steve Bannon.
Steve Bannon's original vision probably paid more closer detail to the comics.
That's what I would guess.
And the studios were probably like, fuck that, make it like the cartoon series. Money, 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 money.
Yeah, because they wanted to grab that audience of
Sure.
the animated series.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, if you think about it, where did most kids and people know of the Teenage Mutant Turtles from? Did they know them from the comic book, or did they know them from the animated series?
Well, it depends on who you ask.
Yeah, but I'm saying the majority. I would guess the majority knew it from the cartoon.
John, when did you say the comic first came out again? The first one.
1984, I think.
Yeah, I believe 1984 was when the one-shot came out. The black and white one-shot.
Okay.
Here's an interesting tidbit. All of the actors who played in the turtle costumes actually appear in the movie out of costumes in different character roles. Like one is in the back of a taxi cab. One is one of the kids, in the warehouse.
Uh-huh.
So they actually all cameoed in the movie as well.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome. All right, so I think we are...
What, you want to rate this bitch?
Hey, I think we should rate this bitch. What do you think?
Sure, let's rate this bitch.
I could rate this bitch.
All right, well, I think we should rate this bitch. Professor, how do we do our ratings?
Well, we are going to be rating our movies in a slightly different tone.
I fear change.
Embrace it, my friend. Embrace it.
It's the quote is, "We fear change." What's that from?
Hang on.
We fear change.
Fucking the little green guys from Toy Story.
No.
Fuck me. What is it?
The next thing that happens is a hammer's picked up and a mechanical hand is bashed repeatedly with the hammer on the table. Wayne's World.
Oh, yes. I remember now. Garth.
Garth is wearing that
Garth Algar.
that crazy thing on his head.
Right. Hey, if you want to get froggy, put that in the...
If you do,
helmet.
Don will ban you.
No, for Wayne's World? No. And
Just checking.
watch your fucking tone, son. Don't make me fucking come over there.
So I thought we were pretty light with our F-bombs tonight.
Well, that's about to change.
Yes, it is.
And why is that?
Well, because for those loyal listeners that have a tendency to think that we swear too much, fuck yeah, we do. And that's what's going to be changing in our tone. How we rate our movies, because it's all about the Fs, the F-bomb. If we have a movie that we just loved, that this is cinematic gold, we're giving that 5 Fs, 5 fucks. Fuck yeah. Now, if it's a movie that we didn't, we're not going to see that anymore, then that's going to be 1 F. Like, fuck that crap.
So what if we don't give a fuck about a movie?
If we don't give a fuck about a movie, well, that's going to be 0 Fs. Zero F-bombs.
That movie can just fuck off.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
Hey, you know what? You guys are saying the F word a lot lately. And very aggressively at the moment. I'm going to have to ask you to kind of tone it down there.
All right.
Sorry, Don's dad.
So, yes. So, a movie is going to be 5 Fs or 4, 3, 2, or 1 F.
Or 0.
Is that better?
I guess. I don't give a fuck. You know me. You know why I don't have an ulcer? Because I know when to say, I don't give a fuck.
But here's the thing. With our new scale, you are going to be giving a fuck to some movies.
That's probably
You're going to
really
be giving
true.
multiples.
I can give multiple fucks.
Well,
I have no problem with that. I like that. I have I have plenty of fucks to give for the movie that wants to receive them.
So, Professor, if I'm understanding this correctly, in the past, we've done our rating mostly on the rewatchability of movies. Now, that's actually just going to factor into our rating.
It is one of the components.
It's going to be one of the components of, we're always talking about how much we like a movie and then we give it a bad rating, or how much we don't like a movie, but this movie we'll rewatch again, so we'll give it a higher rating. Now it's going to be, how much do we care about this movie? And will we watch it again? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's all of those things. You throw all that together, and there are some movies that just make you feel really good, or the movie just moves you, and you are taking all of that into the consideration when you rate the movie.
So a movie that moves us, that you really care about. So like Flash Gordon.
There you go.
I give Flash Gordon 0 fucks. You know why? Because fuck that movie, and fuck you for putting it in the helmet.
I gotta say, that stings a little.
Okay, you know, that was not fair. I take that back. I am going to give my new score for Flash Gordon is 0.5 fucks.
You give it a half a fuck.
I give it a half a fuck.
Wait a minute. We can't go back and re-rate everything.
Why? I think that would be fun.
Oh my God.
Well, if that's the case, then we're going to go with Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Oh no, I'm just kidding.
Bring it on, motherfucker. All right, so now that we have our new rating scale in effect, we will go ahead and rate the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This came from our True Believer listener, Zach, and thank you, Zach, for throwing this into the helmet. We had some fun watching it. I talked to him earlier, like I said, and he gives this movie 3 fucks. Again, it says it reminded him of his childhood, and that's always fun for a movie, right? I'll go ahead and go. I'll start us off. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I thought at the time was fantastic. I hadn't seen anything like it. What blew me away was the practical effects and how well the turtles moved and fought. I was able to follow the story. It was coherent. It made sense. The characters were likable. Back then, the whole, excellent, cool was probably more tolerated by me. But now as I'm older, it got on my nerves a little bit. You could pick this movie apart a million times over. But by doing so, you take all the fun out of it. So overall, this was a fun movie. Would I rewatch it? Yeah, probably someday. Would I recommend it to someone who's never seen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Sure, go for the ride. It's an hour and a half. It's not a big deal. So for all of those reasons, I am going to give 3 fucks to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
I will go next. Don, you brought up the practical effects. I have to agree with you. Back then, the practical effects kind of blew me away. The way they got the mechanical masks and everything to move, the lips, the eyes, the realism of it. Nowadays, that might be a little hokey since we've seen a lot like it. And nowadays, it would all be computer generated, which would end up with a Michael Bay film if this movie was remade today. But other than that, it really does harken back to the cartoon, which I said earlier I'm a big fan of. The comic books keeps a lot of the spirit of the comic books, which I thought was really well done. This movie could have been very poorly made and geared to just a young audience. It could have been really hokey, but they kept in, and some of the complaints like Jim Henson and the actress who played April, they wanted all the kind of the violence taken out. I thought the violence worked well in this movie. I didn't think it was over the top. I thought it worked well. I thought there was enough comedic timing combined with the action. The acting, of course, is not the highest level, but you wouldn't expect that from this movie. It had a lot of great lasting power in this movie, to the point of this is one of those movies that we would name on our list of, if you want to go back and revisit the early 90s, you go back and visit this movie, 1990. It gives you a little bit of feel of that 80s kind of vibe in the colors, the looks, the designs, the language, the radical, the cowabunga. You get all of that kind of feel. Would I put this at my top of my list of movies I want to rewatch? No. It wouldn't be a movie that I would say, I'm feeling like going and watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm glad Zach suggested it. I'm glad I got to revisit it. If it was on TV, yeah, I probably would catch some of it. Don't know if I'd watch all of it. So I'm hovering a little bit, but I think I'm going to give this movie a 2.5 halfway, in that I'm not wanting to, it's not one of my favorite movies and a movie that I want to run out and watch right away, but it is a movie that, I don't mind. If someone else is watching it, I'm going to join in. Or if it's on TV, or if it's on HBO, I'm going to catch it again because it's just a fun revisit movie. So I think I give about 2.5 fucks on this movie.
2.5 fucks.
So there you go. For me, I found this movie to be very campy, and the campiness of the movie certainly does have an element of fun to it. The Turtles, as I said at the beginning, I am strangely drawn into just wanting to watch them do what they do, because they are interesting to watch them fluidly move the way that they do, and the animatronics of the head and the eyes and the mouth. And I didn't necessarily care what was happening. I just enjoyed watching them move. But I found the kid angle being part of the crime spree, I found that to be rather pedestrian. I didn't necessarily have a strong association with the movie for its lasting power that I look back on and go, oh yeah, I remember that movie. It is a movie like, oh yeah, I've seen that. It does not have as much of a pullback to me. My son certainly has a different experience. This is a movie that the VHS was watched several times over, and so I was used to having it around back in the day. But for the most part, I have little desire to watch it again necessarily, and I found the movie to be enjoyable enough. I'm going to give it 2 fucks.
2 fucks, 2.5 fucks, and 3 fucks for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All right. There you go.
Now, that shouldn't be mistaken for the porn version, which was 10-inch Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Why does it not surprise me that you know that? Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
Liar. You're such a fucking liar. All right. So we interrupt this podcast for a very important message.
Mayday, mayday. Anyone copying Channel 9? Terrorists have seized the Nakatomi building and are holding at least 30 people hostage. I repeat, unknown number of terrorists, 6 or more, armed with automatic weapons at Nakatomi Plaza.
Attention, whoever you are. This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
No fucking shit, lady! Do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
Coming next week, the 3 Guys in a Flick Holiday Special, where we review one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
Bruce Willis, Die Hard.
Got invited to the Christmas party by mistake. Who knew?
We now return you to your podcast, currently in progress. Okay, so I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode of 3 Guys in a Flick. Hey, John, where can they find us?
They can find us at our website, 3guysinaflick.com. They can find us at any popular or even unpopular podcast hosting sites. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Podbean. We are on any of them that I could find to put us on. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr. I believe we're on Instagram. Has your daughter taken over Instagram yet?
No. And we are on Instagram. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, we are on Instagram.
Well, you said I believe.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
And we are, and we are not still yet on TikTok. Why is that, Professor?
Because somebody needs to make a music video.
Oh.
The clock is ticking. See what I did there? The ticking. Dude, I'm telling you, I don't know how to talk or tick. So.
Well, we'd have to take video, and do people really want to see us?
All right, so that's going to wrap it up. Thanks again to everyone who listens.
Zach and Ronnie.
Zach and Ronnie. Be sure to share our site. Go out and give us some likes. Drop us a comment. Tell us that we suck, that we awesome, that you like what we're doing. And hey, go out and suggest a movie, Ronnie. So for 3 Guys in a Flick, I'm Don.
I'm John.
And I'm Ken. Thanks for listening.
You know, it's funny. I looked down at the timer and we were already finishing. I had already said, roll credits. And we hadn't even hit an hour on the counter. And now it's an hour and fucking 40 minutes. The fuck are you guys trying to do to me?
I don't know. Admit it. You want to go out and watch 10-inch Mutant Ninja Turtles now. You want to see if that's a real movie.
I'm not going to lie. I'm going to fucking Google it.
Yeah.
I have no shame.
Yeah. Erase that history afterwards, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's that.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I have no desire.
No.
Well, there you have it.
I always wondered why they never made like a sequel where they're, adolescents with pimples and issues. They go all the emo Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, is that something you would want to watch?
I think so. Kind of gives that realism as they grow up.
Okay, no. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Then you're
in my
going to
life.
have laconic, sardonic, sullen, self-absorbed, negative, angsty Ninja Turtles.
Couldn't you just see them all sitting around? It's like, April's in trouble. We need to go save April. Oh, screw her. She keeps getting in trouble. I just want to sit here and listen to my emo music.
So basically, you want to watch Matrix. Ken's done. He's ready for bed. All right, fuck off. Good night.